Hey guys, my name is Casey and I'm a previous ATP instructor and ATP student, and today I'm going to talk about what it costs to go to ATP Flight School. Online says $116,995. We're going to go ahead and take a look in more detail and see if that's an accurate estimate and what you should realistically budget when you decide to go to ATP Flight School. All right, first things first, let's break it down. What's included in the sticker price of $117,000? Well, when ATP says that they're all inclusive, right? They include everything. What they're really talking about is they're including your flight time, they're including your simulator time, they're including your ground time. That's the big three. Of those, let's start with flight time, right? Everybody knows to get a commercial rating, you need 250 hours of flight time. Well, with ATP, you get 204 hours of single engine time, 184 with an instructor, 10 solo, 10 allotted for check rides. So you get 204 hours in a single engine aircraft. You get 25 hours in a multi-engine aircraft. Of that 25, you get 24 with an instructor, 1 hour dedicated to a check ride. Now, if you know anything about check rides, you'll know 1 hour is probably on the short side, but we'll talk about that when we get into the extra cost. But you get 25 hours multi, you get 204 of single engine, brings you out to 229 hours of total flight time when you finish the program, assuming you do it exactly as they plan. Now, how do they do that? Well, they give you what's known as simulator time. Simulator time is legal to go towards your ratings, right? You can use it towards your instrument rating, you can use it towards your commercial rating, that you need 250 hours for. Well, you get 51.8 of simulator hours with an instructor at ATP, according to the allotted time. Now, only 50 hours of that actually count in your logbook towards the commercial rating, but you get 51 hours with an instructor. Now, that's not time towards an ATP certificate, it's not towards your 1500. It's just to get you your ratings as efficiently as possible with ATP, right? Now, I will say ATP provides you unlimited access to your simulator or to their simulators. So if you're struggling in the program, the simulators are open 24 hours a day. You can go in there and practice. They are a really good resource. I don't love that they give you 50 hours of it and that's how you get a bunch of your time, but it does make sense of why they do it. And the fact that you have access to it when you're struggling, it's a really good perk. Now, ground instruction is provided mostly through online with ATP. They have two different things of online instruction, first of which is just going to be pretty much YouTube videos. They have their own library of videos that provide you, or that you're required to go through before some of your flights. They tell you which ones you need to watch, and it's going to teach you pretty much how to fly an airplane before you actually go fly. They do help, but they're pretty much just YouTube videos that they've put privately. They're not legal grounds or anything like that. It's just kind of help you get some extra knowledge before you show up for training. The other part is you're going to do what's known as elevates. Elevates, they have like pretty much like a Zoom setup with you, one instructor, and a large class of other students that are all meeting on Zoom. You guys are going to meet for a couple hours a day for the first 5 to 10 days of each phase of your training. That's your legal ground. That is how you get approved to take, or legally approved to take each one of your check rides. Now, you are also going to do one-on-one grounds with your instructor. You're going to do group grounds in the entire training center way. Those are all legal grounds. They are nice. I can't give you an estimate on how many hours you're going to do, but it's all included. So you will get some grounds with instructors and you're going to get mocks and things like that. That is all included within the program. Now, what's included in terms of the ratings? Well, obviously you're going to end up as a commercial pilot, right? So where do we start? We start as a private pilot, then we go to your instrument rating, then we go to your commercial rating, then we go to your commercial multi rating, which this is a new change in your program, and then you start as an instructor, right? So you do 4 ratings, you become a commercial single engine, commercial multi, then we start training you to be an instructor. As an instructor, you start off as CFI, so the base level certified flight instructor, then you go and do your double I. You become a certified flight instructor with instrument teaching abilities at that point, right? So that's the 2 ratings that you have as an instructor. You never get your multi-engine instructor rating with ATP according to their new program. The old ones did, so a lot of people like me that did the program in the past are multi-engine instructors. People graduating from ATP on their new program, you don't get this. You get 6 ratings, which does help keep costs down. It's a rating that not a lot of instructors really used anyway and got free or got hours out of. But it's something that you used to pay for with ATP and you no longer are given. So just something to keep in mind. You're also given like a training bundle. They're going to send you a large box to your house. It includes things like FAA resources, FAR AIM, PHAC, all the things to help you study resources. They're going to give you an iPad, or not an iPad, sorry, they do not give you that. They're going to give you a backpack. They're going to give you some polos. It's pretty much what you're going to live in for the next year of your life. but it's included. So yeah, that's everything that's included with ATP. Now, we're going to just jump straight into what's not included. This is probably the big sticker shock, and we're just going to treat this as a budget. So that way you have a realistic expectation of what to expect, as well as kind of my guesstimate for an average student. It's not for a perfect student, and it's not for a really bad student, but it's for an average student of what I would recommend you actually budget for. And you can kind of just take this list as I put it on the screen, throw it in an Excel sheet, and bait and rechange it for what you kind of think is estimate or what you think is accurate for you. So first things first, tuition, $116,995, right? It's set in stone. There's nothing we can do about it. Next thing I would kind of plan for is an iPad. You're going to need one. I personally would budget $650 or whatever it currently is going for on Amazon. I would buy an iPad mini with cellular. Every iPad you have, like, it has to have cellular capabilities. You don't have to pay for it, but it has to have capabilities. And I would personally do the mini. I got a bigger iPad. I just don't use it for the extra cost, the extra weight, and the fact that it also, the battery dies quicker, like on longer flights and stuff. I would just get the smallest one. So all you need, buy a small iPad mini with cellular. $650 new on Amazon. You can get them cheaper. If you can get it for half that cost, then awesome. Update your budget. But I'm going to estimate $650 if you were buying it new based on what Amazon is showing right now. Then we're going to go to iPad apps. ATP estimates you're going to spend $220 on iPad apps per year. You're going to pay for ForeFlight of $120, and you're going to pay for Jeppesen of $99. Those are with discount codes through ATP, so don't buy them until you've signed up. But that is an accurate estimate. That is all you need to be an ATP student, but you do need them. That's per year. So assuming you get done within the 12 months, it's $220. I would personally budget $350 because I would upgrade your ForeFlight to the middle. And I won't explain why today, but it is super, super helpful as an instrument student. So I'm going to put the budget at $350 per year if you finish in time. You might not finish in time, so something to think about. Next up, we're going to go ahead and jump into a headset. I personally bought A30s. They're $1,300 brand new right now on Amazon. They're expensive. That's what I would budget because I think they're worth it. There are totally fine options at $200, $300, $600, $800. Watching a headset video. I haven't made one, but look into what headset you want. You can get a really cheap one for like $50 on Amazon. I highly don't recommend that. You're going to be in these things every single day. Invest in something that's going to save your ears. You're in a loud, small aircraft every day. You don't need it. You don't need Bose, but I would get something that's not completely just like Amazon, $50. David Clark's work perfectly fine though. And if you don't know what those are, you can look them up. They're pretty cheap. Next up, we're going to go ahead and start talking about Checkrides. Well, new program I just mentioned, you're not going to do an MEI Checkride. So you are going to do 6 Checkrides with ATP. Checkrides range, depends on the DP you're assigned. They range from $800 to $2,000 every single Checkride. You're going to do 6 of them. They're not included in ATP's cost. So let's just say an average of $1,100 because most Checkrides are $800 to $1,000. The exception is CFI Checkrides and a couple rare DPs that charge a ridiculous amount. But let's just guesstimate of $6,600. Your written exams are going to be, you have 5 of them. So throughout the program, you can take 5 written exams at $175 each. It's going to come out to $875 for written exams. Now, with that written exam, you also have to buy Shepherd's Air for every single one or Sporty Study Buddy. Each one of those is $15 to $40 each, 5 times over. You're going to spend around $200 on Shepherd's Air. I think it's like a little less, maybe $180 for all of them. So just something to keep in mind for kind of like another cost. Then we're going to go into just other gear. You really don't need much more than that. People will end up purchasing sectionals, or they'll buy a knee pad. Whether or not you'll use it is up for debate, or they'll buy an external battery pack. I would budget a couple $100 here. I'm going to just say 200. You don't need any of it. So just, if you're on a budget, then budget 0 there. Now, we're going to talk about overage estimate. This is where things kind of get complicated with ATP. So right now, our current cost is realistic for what ATP should cost you. If you are a perfect student. Nobody's perfect. You're probably going to fail a Checkride at some point. You're going to go over So like each phase of training, they're going to say, hey, you get 10 hours to practice this. You get 5 hours to practice it. If you end up going over that 10 hours to continue practicing something that you're struggling with, you get charged a fee of $400 per hour in a single engine aircraft or $650 in a multi-engine aircraft. Well, you're only, it's hard to estimate this one. Most students are going to go through with some amount of overage throughout the program. If you fail a check ride, you have to get retrained and pay $400 an hour to get retrained. And I would estimate the average is probably $3,000, although I can't say that confidently because I truly do not know, but I would estimate $3,000. I've seen it much higher for certain students. I personally had $0 of overage. If you come in super prepared and you spend time in the sim and you do everything right and you get kind of lucky, you can do it for $0. But I wouldn't plan on spending $0 because most people go over. And if you fail one check ride, you have overage guaranteed from that. And then you also have to pay a recheck fee. DPs kind of range on what they charge, maybe $400 if it's an $800 check ride. So sometimes they'll give you like a half price recheck. Some of them are going to charge the full amount. So let's say if you do one recheck, let's just say it's $1,100 in your estimate for your budget. And hopefully that's accurate. Now there's some other costs associated with going to flight school that are really dependent on who you are. So if you're going to live at home, probably really low in these next two categories, right? But I'm going to include housing for 12 months at $1,000 a month for $12,000, right? You have to live somewhere. If you can live at home, or if you can find roommates and make it super cheap, do it. But just know, if you go over the 12 months estimated, which I think it's an accurate estimate at 12 months, but if you go over that 12 months, it's going to get really, really expensive really fast. So housing, I'm just saying 12,000. Do your own research on your own market and what your situation is. But then you have cost of living as well. Car payments, whatever else, food, gas, all of those things add up. It cost me about $1,500 a month for I didn't take 12 months, but let's just say $1,500 a month. It comes out to about $18,000 if it's 12 months. So all in all, you're looking at over $161,000 in total cost according to this budget. Now, you can kind of save some money in little spots, but that's a pretty rough estimate that should be accurate-ish for most students who are living on their own or with a roommate or in ATP housing. So yeah, kind of look into it. I will say ATP does have some free housing options right now, depending on the location. So you can cut off like $12,000 there. If you don't have any rechecks and you're really good throughout the program, you can save a couple $1,000s there. So there are some ways to save from this cost, but no matter what, you're gonna be spending $150-ish thousand. So something to keep in mind when you guys are signing up for ATP. This isn't my opinion on whether or not you should go to ATP or not. Do I think it's worth it or anything like that? It's just purely a cost analysis, right? This is just a budget for if you're gonna go to ATP, or if you're looking into ATP and you kind of want a realistic expectation, or if you didn't get approved for the loan or the full loan, and you're trying to figure out what it's gonna cost you. It's just something that you should budget for it, because you need to know how much it's gonna cost. It's gonna cost a lot more than they advertise online. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope this video helps. If you guys have any questions, leave them down below. I will get back to them down below for sure. And if they're a really good question, I might even just make a video on it. Thanks for watching. If you guys don't mind, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and help me out. And I will continue helping you guys out. Thanks. See you guys next time.